Hey y'all, it's Dave from Flash and Dance DJ and Production Services. Hope everybody's been having a good couple of days. Right now it's weather. I'm sitting in my truck. Just got out of my part-time job. This weather, I hate it. I hate it. What I mean by that is rainy weather. Because for some reason it just makes me tired. Doesn't help that I just, had a long day today. But anyway, so welcome to Tech Tip Wednesdays. And today we have multiple things to talk about. So, first thing on the list, how did I, in possible 100-degree weather, stay hydrated? Well, the thing is simple. When you're doing normal grocery shopping, depending upon how your family does things, if you have a family, you might be buying gallons of water. Well, what I've started doing, rather than carrying cases of water, I do carry individual waters in my cooler. So like this coming Wednesday, I have the Taunton fireworks with my friend George. He's the one who's actually doing the job. I'm going in as being an A2. He wants to learn how to do it. He knows karaoke. He knows how to mix. He's never done large scale events of this size. He's done, because for me, I call outdoor shows like this variable shows. When you're inside and you're doing a comedy show, that is a locked-in show because you're really only running one to two microphones and there's no real movement going on. When you're doing a band or you're doing something outside, it's an uncontrollable environment. You have a lot of variables going on. So he wants to learn all that stuff. Like I said, he knows what he's doing. He just wants that guidance. How do I do this? How do I do that? And there's nothing wrong with that. This is what my channel is all about, is teaching people these different things. So when we go to do that on Wednesday, he's taking his van and we're using the X32. We're going to use his RCFs. And then we're just going to use my microphone stands and we're going to use some of my mics, possibly my XLRs, some of my snakes, things like that he may not necessarily have in his inventory. Not a big deal. It happens. That's sometimes the best thing, is sharing work with each other. But in my cooler, the whole point of that is I have water, I have Gatorades, I have electrolyte drinks like Gatorlyte. I also carry with me a gallon of electrolyte pre-mixed water, meaning that it's a gallon with 4 pouches. And I know what people are going to say the minute I say it, C4. People are going to say, oh, that's energy. Not the variant that I buy. I actually buy it at Shaw's, Walmart to get different flavors, but it's called Rapid Release Zero Sugar Hydration. And all this means is that it is a pouch of C4 that has zero sugar, that is rapid hydration, that's built into water. And I always bring this. This is my Yeti coffee cup, okay? And in this, I always keep it, full of ice. I will buy 2 16-pound bags of ice. I will buy a single, I think it's a 5-pound bag. And the 5-pound bag will sit on top of the other ice, and that becomes the drinking ice because it stays in the bag. The 30-some-odd pounds of ice keeps everything else cold, chilled, and this way even the gallon of water will sit in there, and that'll be what I'll drink from. And people are going to say, oh, you're going home to go to bed and you're drinking that now? It's not traditional energy. That's why I like it so much. Yes, it is C4 energy, but it gives you that rapid hydration. So between Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I drank 3 gallons of water. That's number one. Number two, when I got done setting up the turtle booth and everybody left to go home, relax, get in the AC, I turned around and I went to Subway. I got myself 2 different types of sandwiches. I got 2 footlongs of the Philly cheesesteak. So there was my protein. And I got that on artesian bread. So I had that with banana peppers, garlic aioli, lettuce, onions, peppers. It was toasted with Monterey Jack cheese. And I had it cut in thirds. Make it easier, faster to handle so you can have quick bites out of it. Then the third sandwich I had gotten, which I was going to eat first, was a turkey bacon ranch. So I had that made on a wrap. Nice, simple, easy. So not only was I hydrated with water, I was also hydrated with protein, salts, the whole works. And believe it or not, the amount of food I ate was a little bit less than what I normally would eat in a day, which was the entire wrap was eaten and all of the the other Philly steak and cheese. So that is how I stayed hydrated. That is the important key in that story, is that drinking electrolyte beverages, making sure you take the time. If, let's say, for example, Wednesday, I got there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was set up, even with the amount of time I took, I was set up by 4. The band wasn't going on until 6. They got there at 5. We were ready to go by 5:30, 5:45. So we had 15 minutes to spare, get drinks, get hydrated, have a bite to eat. And everything went really smooth with that one. Until the drummer's wedge decided to cut out and went into thermal, but that's only because it was in direct sunlight. I know for next time, so this week when I go do it for Noise in the Basement, it's not going to go on the right side. It's going to go on the left side. It's that simple. It'll be out of direct sun. I'm not going to put the Mackie there. I'll put the EV instead. I learned my lesson with that. But anyway, so that's how I stayed hydrated and fed. Now, another thing that happened on Tuesday, I set up my system just to do testing. So that was the wing rack, the DL32, my JBL SRX 815Ps, my 2 QSE KW181s, and I used 2 of my Eons as fills. When Greg got there, who had the SQ rack, I had to figure some things out with it, which I did. Easy enough. We'll talk about that in a second. Oh, I apologize. Like I said, I am a little tired. So with that one, what ended up happening before anybody got there from the band, I was done in maybe 45 minutes. It wasn't hot weather. Well, that's my normal when I'm setting up a left-right sub, side fill left and right. It usually can take me about 45 minutes to an hour to get that, because you're running cables a very specific way so the band doesn't trip on them, because it was inside of a gazebo. So no indication of bad weather at this event. So first thing that happens is I set up the PA, and at first I don't notice this, but my AES50, which is the network protocol that the DL32, DL251, 252, 253, I believe there's a network bridge, and that's in the Midas and the Behringer families as products. Just the AES50 wasn't locking for some reason. I didn't pay attention to that. All of a sudden I started hearing audio cut out, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Ooh. So I work with chat GPT, and I figure it out eventually after seeing the AES50A going from red to green to yellow back to red. I'm like, okay, I know why I'm having audio dropouts now. At first, I wasn't taking it as a dropout. It sounded more like a glitch in the song. So, you know, so a little bit of homework, and I figure out what that was. My packet loss was off the charts. For some reason, it was over 1,000 on uncorrectable, and then or correctable or something like that. And then my the second part of it was way off the charts as well, which you don't want that. You want it to be at 0 or as close to 0 as possible. So that was on Tuesday that happened, and then on Thursday when I took a picture and I was talking with Chad about it, I believe it was at 13. That's still not great on the uncorrectables, but however, it was locked and it was solid the whole time for the 6 hours that my system was up. So I chucked that up to a win. So my next purchase in that world is going to be my favorite networking brand right now is the Gear-It product, which is GEAR-IT. I will post a link below for these AES cables that I buy. I'm looking at getting 250 footers. I'm looking at a black and a blue. This way I can differentiate it. I am going to turn them into Siamese cables, I think, which means just having a piece of tape on them so it becomes one long cable. And then it's going to go on a cable reel. Nice, simple, and easy just to do, because then I can pull as much as I need out, put it underneath the table, take the 2 tails, plug that right into the console. So there's that. So now the next thing that happens that day is like today. We have a rainstorm. There was nothing in the forecast about it. You know, it's just one of those things. It happens. So I get my stuff set up, find out my little issue, no big deal. I end up making it through just till sound check. Then I start when Greg arrives and he's got the SQ rack brain. I'm looking through the routing, and here is part of the ecosystem I don't care for. In the Allen and Heath, I haven't done much research. I gotta do a little bit more to learn about it. What I found was that the matrices 1 through 6 are tied as stereos. So it's 1 and 2 are tied, 3 and 4 is tied, 5 and 6 is tied. Even though there's 6 separate outputs, they're tied together. Meaning that 1 and 2 was my left and right, main, top, and then I did my sub output on 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6 was fill left, fill right. The only thing that kind of stinks about that is if you want to put fill left and right at different volumes, you can't. You have to go to the speaker and do it manually. So that to me is a downgrade from the Wing, because on the lower level of the Behringer Midas world, you've got the X32, and then you've got the M32, and then you have the Wing, and then you jump up to something like the HG96. And that's another ball of wax to learn about all together and completely. So the other thing that some of the Midas products, or I would actually, so we're dealing with the Allen Heath, is the 96K. I apologize about that. So 96K, so as far as the band can tell, and I try to explain to them, that's why they're hearing in their ears, because they're all starting to work on ears. And the reason why they wanted me to mix on their console is to have them learn the mixer and learn how it sounds. So that's actually pretty cool that the band is willing to, at a live show, do this. So we get through that, everything works great. So I do a little bit of research while we have the 15-20 minutes of downtime before the show starts. Learn a little bit more about the Allen and Heath product, what you can do, what you can't do, things like that. figure out how to save it. One thing you have to activate, which due to what I'm about to explain, we didn't have time to activate it. You have to go into the auxiliary page of the utility and you can turn on remote downloading or pushing in. So my MacBook it wasn't able to pull down the profile, which was no harm, no foul. I'm going to be working with these guys again. We're going to figure it out that day, how to turn that on, so that way I can remotely pull the show files. That's another thing I didn't like, was that in order for you to export your scene file, you have to export the entire show. I don't like that. You don't need to do that. If you just have some minor work you need to adjust on a laptop after a show for the next day, you should just be able to export just the single part of the show file that you need and just get it done. So now we get to this kind of weather. Rainy, drizzly. We start playing through it. Then out of nowhere it starts to taper off, gets sunny out, our crowd grows. Then next thing you know, the rain picks up. Not only does it pick up, we start to as soon as I get all my stuff in the trailer, I'm saying to myself, okay, you got to leave yourself enough room for the subs and the tops. And I'll explain that in a second. So finally, they come and they tell us, yep, show's done. It's canceled. So we walk away, and now we're getting ready to start dumping gear and just getting it into vehicles. We get a 40-mile-an-hour gust. Talk about sideways rain. Oh, that was not fun. Anyway, get everything all said and done and packed up. Now, here is part of the lesson in this. My XLR cables were not put away. They were put on top of a rack that was already wet from that show, from the light rain earlier in the day. Then number two is that I didn't force anything unnatural to happen, meaning that I didn't make something create a situation out of nothing. So when I went to put my speakers away, I made sure there was enough room for this, that I was able to take my subs, for example, and put a tarp over top of one of them, because they were on the ground, not on the ground, but they were on the floor of the gazebo. So I had somebody help me who was there. We took the first sub off, covered that with a tarp. I wheeled that into the bus, take that tarp, stretch it out a little bit so that way it could dry out possibly for the next day. And then I took another tarp I had once I figured out that one of the it was just easier to use tarps on the subs, and then the tops had plastic bags on them along with the fills, so I grabbed those, put those in, and then I take all the XLR and the power cables, put them in two piles in the trailer on top of a rack that's already soaked. Very easy, very simple. So with that being said, now we're on to I can't remember if there was anything else. Anyway, those are the main stories that I have from the 4th of July week. It still hasn't been finished though, because like I said, I've got one more show on the 8th, and once the fireworks go off for that show, my 4th of July week is complete. So with that being said, I am going to say please subscribe, like, and share this content if you think somebody will enjoy it. Also, don't forget to treat each other and other people with respect the way you want to be treated. And also, don't forget to learn one thing every day. And that's what these tech tips are all about, is helping you become a better sound engineer, become a better production person, becoming a better technician on site. So with that, I am going to head home. It's just about midnight. I'm going to get some sleep, and then I will do a couple errands for my mom tomorrow, and do what I have to do for the day. So with that being said, I will see you all on Monday with the gig log from about this upcoming Wednesday, and then Thursday, and then Saturday I will be back at the jetty with Bluefish, I believe it is, Yacht Rock Classics. So with that being said, I will see you on Monday with the next gig log.